Welcome back, YouTube. So the news that Elon is integrating Twitter with Dogecoin and developing crypto wallets, that has propelled Dogecoin above its previous limitations, and we've actually broken trend, and we've actually been able to come up and retest that 948, 945 mark roughly. So what does this mean? It's very important as to the way that these next two candles really close to see if we're going to build strength at this level. A break at this level can easily send us to around the 11-cent mark. And that's where things really get interesting. That's why I said it's 20 cent next, because let's take a look here at on the macro here at some of these longer time frames. And all you see is consecutive after this 11 mark, you see consecutive gaps from the 11 to the 15, from the 15 to the 17, the 17 all the way up until you see these 21. That's when the rejections and the shorts kind of get really, really heavy between around that 17 and 21 mark. Remember, this is kind of what happened when Elon purchased Twitter. I'm zooming out here a lot. This is the mark right here, the Twitter acquisition. And this is some of the previous highs here, the 17. Look how many rejections and battle zones that we had between like the 17 mark. It was 1708, 1798, 1730, right? And then the ones before that was 2150, 22. And you guys remember, these are just the really strong ones. We had a few, down in like the mid-teens or so, but that 16 to 17, the 16 to 20 zone really was where the battle zone kind of intensified. And this is kind of what happened last time here with this 15 mark. So if you're looking at the price action as far as right now, saying, oh, it's 9 cents, it didn't even hit 10 cents, things can happen really quickly after here, because there's a lot of gaps here. And typically that real battle zone kind of starts at around that 17 mark. So that's typically when shorts come in really heavy, and they've kind of been able to slow the momentum. And with this type of catalyst here, it can be very difficult for that to happen, especially if Elon or if this development is going to come out relatively soon. We are scheduled to begin the bull run like late Q4 of this year. But if this development is coming relatively soon and we get a pause from the Fed, the macros align, this thing can get crazy really quickly. So it's something we have to keep an eye on in terms of the macros here, because if we get an alignment from the Fed saying that, okay, we're going to pause here, institutional money comes in, and now we have a long-term catalyst. And if that catalyst happens, let's say it doesn't happen, say it doesn't take a year or so, but let's just say Elon says, we expect this to be ready, late Q2 or something like that. But you're not going to be able to spook investors with shorts. So you're going to need incredible amount of short hours. And typically, at that point, you can set yourself up, because with that catalyst coming in, and let's just say that it does start a domino effect with Twitter and some of the other major organizations, it's going to put shorts in a very difficult situation here. So it's not going to be as a matter of, oh, we can kind of spook them a little bit if we spike the shorts here at around 15 and generate a sell-off. That typically can hijack the price, because the catalyst has kind of just been unknown. But as we start getting definite dates with a lot of these major components here, it's going to be a lot more difficult to manipulate the price in that fashion. So this is going to be a really interesting Q1. I know we have the Fed meeting and stuff coming out this week, so that's kind of going to give us our macros, give us some of the long-term frames as far as to put things into perspective. But these next few candles are certainly going to play a big role in our short-term time frames as far as where we close, because closing above this mark here is going to put us in position to challenge this 1118 mark. And that's really, the 1118 mark is kind of like our 25,000 for Bitcoin, right? And we know that we kind of broke in trend. I'll take a look here at Bitcoin in a moment, but that 1118 mark is going to be like our 25,000 in perspective to Bitcoin. Kind of like, okay, after that mark, if we're able to challenge that mark and overcome it, that's where things kind of get crazy right there. So let's take a look here at shorts really quick to kind of see if they've jumped the gun or anything yet. No, not yet. So there's some rejections. They've been on an incline, but nothing significant. And let's take a look here at Bitcoin. I don't think Yeah, Bitcoin's relatively still as well. So this has been kind of literally just kind of a divergence between Bitcoin and Doge, which is great. A lot of times people, I've seen the comments over like last year or so saying, okay, when are we going to get a breakaway? Is Dogecoin always going to follow Bitcoin? And technically speaking, institutional money, if we're depending on the bull cycles, institutional money and stuff like that, they'll always kind of be like that sink there. But as we get those individual catalysts, i.e., like what's happening right now, you will see a divergence. Now, the market will still rise and pump together. That is rise and decline together. That is just a factor of institutional money coming in and the fact that they have a vast amount more than retailers, so they can kind of dictate those market cycles. But this divergence here just can mean that this Dogecoin can consolidate at a higher price, at a different price, have more strong, more powerful moves to the upside and stuff like that, versus just saying, okay, well, let's just wait until a halving or something like that on Bitcoin, or Q4, and let's see, kind of start the uptrend. We can kind of have a consolidation, and not saying that we're going to go a bull run, but just saying that we can appreciate and consolidate at a higher high until the market takes off, and then we just kind of take off from there, versus hovering around here waiting on institutions and Powell and stuff like that. So not saying that these macros can overpower the current cycle, but they do have the ability to create a divergence between Dogecoin and other assets so that we can consolidate and make moves that are isolated and specific to Dogecoin compared to the general market. And overall, that's great for the coin, because you want kind of Doge to kind of stand on its own and have those individual catalysts so that it can be strong and not just swing with the market, especially if it's going to take the role of being a currency and not just like a store of value or digital gold like Bitcoin is. So it's kind of going to go on its own trajectory, its own route, which is obviously great for the coin. So going over like the next 24, 48 hours, we're going to see where these candles close. This one closed relatively in a very strong spot, like right at the like 9.4, really actually like right where we need it. So we need kind of this candle here to kind of stabilize or give us like another leg up. It doesn't have to be a big one, but it'll just kind of give us an idea of how strong we're going to stand here at this level, because beating this 9.5 mark is going to be huge to going and retest this. So that's kind of what we need to kind of keep our eyes on going forward. So that'll give us the idea for the week. And I think that tomorrow's news, everything that's coming out tomorrow, and seeing if Powell is going to say something along the lines of a pause, that can certainly give us that, that boom, and we can have a very strong move to the upside. I put out a video a couple of days ago saying that we have about 48 hours to establish strength at this level, or it's possible we can see the decline. And Doge actually went out and, well, Elon helped a lot, but Doge was able to establish strength through a major catalyst. So as long as Powell doesn't say anything crazy tomorrow to spook the market, or he says something plausibly favorable to the market, then we could certainly see that strength established, and we could be talking about 11 cent, and then boom, like I said, we can have that domino effect, and we won't start to actually be challenged until around that 20 cent mark. So that's very exciting to look for in the short-term time frames to kind of get an idea of 48 hours, because this isn't a long-term catalyst. We're going to find that out within the next 24 to 48 hours or so when these candles close. So I'll stay tuned. I'll keep you guys updated. I'll provide another video if something changes. If you like anything I had to say, subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it with a friend, and I will see you in the next one.